Down in Charlestown, celebrations are starting today ahead of a very special birthday at Saint Attracta's residence just outside Charlestown, because Betty Hassett is going to be celebrating her 100th birthday tomorrow in Saint Attracta's. I'm going to be talking to Betty in a minute, but I want to first of all bring in Trina Donoghue, the manager of Saint Attracta's in Charlestown. Trina, good morning.
Good morning, Tommy. How are you?
I'm well. Are you getting all geared up and excited? Because I think that the festivities start today.
They do. Betty turns 100 tomorrow, but I can honestly tell you there's massive excitement here. In our history, we've never had a resident turn 100 who is as impressive in body and mind and spirit and physical activity and everything as Betty is. She's sitting here beside me looking $1 million. We want to wish her a huge, huge happy birthday. And we hope she has a wonderful weekend. And that's from all of us here, all her friends, all the staff. But there's massive excitement. I truly mean that. Everyone here is as giddy as you could imagine over her turning 100 tomorrow.
Yeah, and look, I know that Betty, is from Charlestown, but people will know her the length and breadth, not just of the county, but of the country, because she was very involved in the Western Rose competition, which ran in Charlestown. It was the next best thing to the Rose of Tralee back in the day. Pat Kenny used to come down every year to actually host the event, and Betty was one of the inspiring people behind that concept, so people will know her way and beyond and above Charlestown alone. Anyway, will you hand me over to the Queen herself?
I will, of course. Of course. Here she is.
Thanks, Tommy. Trina. Thank you very much. So here she is, Betty Hassett, 100 tomorrow. Good morning, Betty.
Good morning, Tommy. How are you?
I'm mighty. More to the point, how are you?
Oh, I'm fantastic.
Can you believe tomorrow you're going to be 100, Betty?
Yeah. I can't believe it. It's right.
Can I quickly go through a few details about your life? You were the eldest of 12 children, is that right?
That's right. I was the eldest 12, 7 boys and 5 girls. And I was the only girl for 7 years. There's 7 years between me and the next girl. Was 5 boys after me.
Yeah. And then you went to primary school and secondary school in Charlestown.
I did. I went to primary school, yeah. And then the lady that started, her name was Miss Cahill, and she started the secondary school, and I was one of the first pupils in the secondary school in Charlestown.
And am I right in saying that when you did your Leaving Cert, Betty, in 1941, just 3 people in the entire country sat the Leaving Cert that year?
Well, it was the 3 of us from around here anyway. There was Tommy Moffat, he went on to be a vet. He was from Charlestown. And there was a girl from down Davros. Her name was Veronica Walsh, same as myself. So there was 3 of us in 1941 did our Leaving Cert.
And after the Leaving Cert, I know you wanted to go to England, but your daddy said, no, you're going to stay at home.
No, because the war was on. And he said, it's enough to be worrying about one, because my brother was over there, and he said, it's enough to be worrying about one. He said, I'm not going to be worrying about you. So he said, you can get it out of your head, you're not going to England. So I was sitting at home, and I went through a domestic science college near Galway. It was run by the French Sisters of Charity, and they used to wear these big white hats. And anyway, I said, well, I'll go there. So I went off there, and I spent 2 years there doing cookery and needlework. And this place was called Coolairn.
Yeah.
It was just out from Galway.
Athenry, yeah. And then you did the 2 years domestic science, but then you saw an ad in a newspaper for a shorthand typist in London, and off you went.
I did. I saw an ad in the paper for a shorthand typist, and I said, well, I'm going to answer that. So I answered it, and I got a letter back from an agent in Ireland, and I went for the interview, and it was with the Ministry of Works. and it was with they called it test branch. They had a big hall, and then attached to the hall was where they did all the testing for everything that the Ministry of Works bought in mechanical line had to be tested there before it was purchased. It was called test branch.
Yeah, and you were, it was a case of blessed art thou amongst men. You were the only woman.
I was the only woman with 20 men.
Mind you, when you were in London, you did fall in love with the love of your life, your late husband, Johnny.
I did, yeah.
And did you get married in London, Betty?
I did. I got married in Highgate Church, North London.
1953.
1953, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, and you stayed there for a couple of years. And then when your oldest daughter, Annette, was 14 months old, you decided it was time to come home to Charlestown.
Well, my father was always wanted me to come home to Charlestown, and he saw this house was for sale. It was owned by the Richardsons from Carricastle, and there was somebody living in it, but they moved out. So he said, this house is for sale. And he said, I think you should come home. So we bought the house. It was £100.
Gosh.
And that was in 1941, wasn't it?
Yeah, 57, I think.
57,
yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
So £100 you paid for the house. It had 4 bedrooms at the time, but you did extend it. It was called.
It had 4 bedrooms. Yeah, it had 4 bedrooms. So we were doing commercial travellers, and they were delighted because there was no place to stay in Charlestown, and they found that Charlestown was very central for them to go to Castlebar, Ballina, Sligo, do their business, you know.
Yes.
So it took off like a house on fire, and we discovered, well, we had to build on, so we built up right as far as we could go. And we had 8 bedrooms then. And
it was called the Premier Guest House in Charlestown. And you had 3 daughters.
I had, yeah. Annette, Michelle and Sharon. Now, Annette was the eldest. And then there's about 5 years between Annette and the next one, because in the meantime, I developed a thyroid, a goiter. It was very, do you know what a goiter is?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it was very prevalent in those days. And I went to the doctor and I thought I was pregnant. And he said, no, examine me. He said, you're not pregnant, but you have a goiter. And I said, well, sure, I have no lump in my throat, because you could see, it was very prevalent, and you couldn't know anybody who had a goiter because the lump was in the throat.
Yeah.
So you could see it. And I said, well, I don't have any lump. No, he said, but unfortunately, he said, yours is growing in instead of growing out. So he said, in the meantime, he said, you'll have to have it done. So I had to have treatment for a few months. And then I was shipped off to the Mater in Dublin. And I had the operation there. And I had the goiter removed. I had 14 stitches around my neck. And
but you survived it. You survived it, and you had Michelle, and then you had Sharon, and then
everything came back to normal.
Right. And I know that it was a conversation you had with the priest, Father Gildee, that led to the setting up of the Western Rose Festival, and that ran for many, many years in Charlestown, every August.
35 years I was there.
Wow.
The guest house, 35 years. I was sure I used to be booked out by the time August would come. There would be a bed left in the house.
I know, but it was great for the town.
Oh, it was, yeah. It was, surely.
Come here, I wonder, does Pat Kenny know that you're celebrating your birthday today?
Pat Kenny?
Yeah. Wasn't he the compere of the Western Rose for years?
Yeah, he was, surely. Yeah. And I spoke to him several times.
Indeed. So come here to me. Sadly, your husband, Johnny, he died in 1999, didn't he? 1999.
That's right. Yeah.
But you're now in Saint Attracta's, and I know you love it up there, Betty.
I do, surely. It's home from home here.
Yeah. And you know what's extraordinary as well? That it's lovely that 5 of your siblings are still here to celebrate with you today and tomorrow. And I got a call earlier on from all of them. Carmel, Angela, Dolores, Emmanuel, and your brother Eamon. And
Eamon,
they all wanted to say they love you so, so much.
Maybe for all the time I walloped them. Because I used to be in charge if my mother was going away, and they used to say to her, Mammy, don't be long because she'll have us all killed by the time you come back.
Because you were the elder Lemon, so you were in charge. Yeah. Well, look,
I was in charge, yeah.
Yeah, isn't it brilliant for you, Betty, to have such loving people around you and to be so aware at 100 years of age as to what's going on? What do you put it down to?
Well, I don't know. Hard work. And my father used to say hard work never killed anybody.
I know, but you did a lot of hard work.
Well, I did, I suppose, but it didn't do me any harm.
Yeah. And you get up every day.
Pardon?
Do you get up every day?
Oh, I do, of course, yeah.
Sorry. And have you a good appetite? You have?
I have. I can eat.
Yeah. Breakfast?
Yeah.
And what time would you head to the bed at night time?
Well, I'm in the living room. We're there, whatever we're doing, and then I usually go about 8 o'clock to my room, but I don't get into bed till gone 9.
Yeah.
It's usually gone 9 o'clock.
Few prayers to be said.
That's right, that's for sure. They're number one on my list.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, loads of people are calling in, Betty, to wish you a happy birthday. Can I mention a few of them? Anya Mahon and all the Mahon family want to wish you a happy birthday. Siobhan Denny and all in fashion scene. They're the Brennans in Charlestown.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Also Anne, Anthony and Evelyn in the Riverside restaurant in Charlestown.
That's right,
yes. Your good friend Tess Frayne Burke from Liverpool.
Oh, my goodness me.
She has called in to say happy birthday. There's loads more. Fair play to Betty. She's as bright as a button. This texter says, what a fabulous lady Betty is. I could listen to her all day. God bless you. And a happy birthday tomorrow. Betty sounds like she's in her 50s. and as far as I'm aware, you also look like you're in your 50s, Betty.
Oh, thank you.
It must be all the face cream that you're using that's doing the job.
Well, to tell you the truth, I never used anything on my face.
Never?
Nothing whatsoever.
Brilliant. Listen, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
And I wish you the happiest of birthdays tomorrow, Betty. There's a bit of a party this afternoon, but the big hoolie is tomorrow.
Yeah.
So enjoy the day, and thanks so much for talking to us.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Have a lovely day.
Now.
Can you believe it? Betty that's that lady, 100 years of age tomorrow, and still, as the texter says, as bright as a button.